Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Dunwoody High School Dual Enrollment Spring 2027 Information Meeting. This presentation will be recorded and posted to the Dunwoody High School Counseling website along with the slide deck. So don't worry, we will have that for anyone who is unable to attend or for you to review at your leisure. So dual enrollment is a program through the state of Georgia that provides funding for students at high schools to take approved college level coursework for credit for both high school and college graduation requirements. This grade will go on both the Dunwoody High School transcript as well as students' college transcripts. For Dunwoody High School, the spring 2027 deadline for the paperwork will be October 15th. For fall and summer of 2027, I will have another informational meeting in January, and the paperwork for the summer and fall will be due March 15th of 2027. Some of the things to consider when looking at dual enrollment, the courses should not overlap with classes that a student is taking at Dunwoody High School, so please keep the bell schedule in mind along with travel time between the college and the high school. We don't want students to have a class that ends in the middle of one of their classes here at Dunwoody, because then they're either going to be missing a significant amount of time in their college class or in their high school class, which is not a good recipe for success. With the credit hours, these are Georgia Department of Education rules. 1 to 2 credit hour classes only equal a half of a high school credit. 3 to 5 credit hour classes are 1 full high school credit. Students are required to have a full schedule of 4 classes, 4 total credits each semester at Dunwoody High School. So if a student takes a half credit class, that'll either need to be a beyond the day class or they'll need to have another 1 to 2 hour class at the college to make the full credit. Classes must be approved in Georgia Futures for students to register for classes. Sometimes the college will drop a student from a class if they register for a class that wasn't approved for funding. Other times they will let the student stay in, but they will charge the student tuition for that class. It's important to note that counselors and Dunwoody High School staff cannot see in-progress classes through dual enrollment because of FERPA. So what that means is that when a student is in the class, if they're struggling, we're not going to know that. We can't see their in-progress grades the way that we can in Infinite Campus for their classes that they're taking through Dunwoody High School. Unfortunately, there have been several instances where students have ended up not graduating because they have failed a dual enrollment class the spring semester of their senior year. The district is strongly advising that seniors not take any classes that are required for graduation in the spring. They want all classes that are taken through dual enrollment to meet graduation requirements to be taken in the fall and only for elective classes to be taken in the spring. The counselors typically receive transcripts from the dual enrollment colleges after the semester has ended, and often 2 to 3 weeks into the next semester. That is another consideration for seniors. If you're taking a class that is required for graduation, even with students who pass the class, we may not get that credit for graduation until either close to the graduation ceremony or sometimes even after the graduation ceremony. Some important steps for dual enrollment. If you have not already applied to the dual enrollment institution, that is required. Someone made me aware today that Georgia State, where most of our students attend dual enrollment classes, has not opened their spring application yet, but that will be a requirement for dual enrollment. Students will need to request their transcript through Georgia Futures, that's gafutures.org. As part of that application, students may also be required to send SAT, ACT, or advanced placement scores. Students will need to complete the funding application in Georgia Futures by October 15th. That is completed once per year. So any students who took classes in the summer or fall have already done this. Students that did not take any classes in the summer or this fall semester will need to complete that funding application for spring 2027. Students will also need to complete the dual enrollment declaration of intent form in Microsoft Teams. So we'll take a look at that in a couple of minutes. That is due by October 15th because I have to provide some paperwork to the district. In that declaration of intent form, students will request their specific dual enrollment classes so that I can approve funding, and they will upload their completed DeKalb County School District Participation Agreement packet. Students will need to monitor their email regularly for communication from the college. A lot of times students will have questions about certain things that are going on with their dual enrollment status. At the high school, we can only really see the high school dashboard in Georgia Futures. We can't see what is going on at Georgia Tech, Georgia State, the different dual enrollment colleges. Their communication is going to be with the student and mostly through email. So we recommend that the students are checking their college email multiple times a week. Students will also be required to upload a copy of their college schedule to the Microsoft form by Thanksgiving break. This ensures that students have registered for a class, will help me make sure that students are not having any funding issues, and that will also let me make sure that their Dunwoody High School schedule and their college schedule are aligned. This goes into the eligibility. 10th graders are eligible to enroll in any approved CTAE courses at the Technical College System of Georgia. 10th graders are not eligible to participate in dual enrollment through Georgia State until the summer after their 10th grade year. 11th and 12th graders are able to take any approved dual enrollment courses listed in the state course directory at any participating college. They are required to meet the admissions requirement for that specific college that they're interested in. They have to meet prerequisite requirements for any of their requested courses. A lot of times, the colleges will not allow students to register for math classes in particular without taking a placement test or without providing required AP scores for those classes. So they have to meet the prerequisite requirements. Sometimes that is taking an intro class, sometimes that is through test out. Reminder again, seniors without final grades or with failing grades in classes required for graduation will not be able to participate in the graduation ceremony. This has been an increasing concern in the past few years with students that are taking classes required for graduation in the spring of their senior year and then not graduating. The Georgia State dual enrollment application, not all of our students that do dual enrollment go through Georgia State, but the vast majority of them do. That will be accessed through Georgia State University's website. It is the recommendation of Georgia State that students submit their application materials 2 to 3 weeks prior to the deadline to make sure that their applications are processed before registration begins. In the past, we've had people that have waited until the very end of October or submitted things right at that November 1st deadline. and then their applications haven't been processed and they have not been able to register for classes on time, and then struggled getting into classes at the college. So I highly recommend that students submit their applications far in advance of that November 1st deadline, whenever Georgia State opens their application. If you're meeting one of your prerequisites for a college class through AP exam scores, you will need to send those official scores through the College Board to the college that you are interested in taking dual enrollment classes through. Um, Students will have to log into their College Board account to send the scores directly to the university. Um, the colleges will not accept unofficial scores. Students will need to send their transcript to the college as part of their application. And for dual enrollment, the colleges do request that that be sent through Georgia Futures. So this video walks students through how to send their transcript through their Georgia Futures account. We also mentioned earlier the dual enrollment course directory. So students can go to the Georgia Futures dual enrollment course directory to view the list of participating colleges in the dual enrollment program. Once you've selected the participating college, you are able to see the list of different classes that are approved for dual enrollment funding at that class or at that school. For Georgia State, again, where most of our students take their dual enrollment classes, there are about 800 classes that are approved for dual enrollment funding by the state of Georgia. Many of those will have prerequisites, so students are not able to take any of those 800 classes that they want. They do have to meet those prerequisite requirements. Required forms for dual enrollment. So we will need students to fill out the dual enrollment declaration of intent for spring 2027. Um, this includes the DeKalb County School District Participation Agreement that I have to send off to the district in order to approve funding. This is also how I know what classes a student wants approved. Students are able to go to the Dunwoody High School counseling website. That's dunwoodyhscounseling.weebly.com. Go to the dual enrollment page. You'll come down here to spring 2027 and expand that out. We have the different steps that students need to complete along with links. So we have the funding application linked here. We have the Georgia State University application linked here. A link to that video showing students how to request their Georgia Futures transcript. Link to the College Board and ACT websites to send SAT, ACT, and AP scores. And then here we have the dual enrollment declaration of intent form. Students will be able to click on that it will open the Microsoft form. Students can click on this first link to download the DeKalb County Participation Agreement packet. This will be filled out with the student and the parent. Student will click that they understand that they have to submit this by October 15th, put in an email address that they check so that I can communicate with them if there are any issues about the dual enrollment funding, select their grade level. We want them to select request a receipt of their responses so they have the proof that they have submitted this form. This is where they will upload a copy of the completed dual enrollment participation agreement packet. Then if they are a senior that's requesting funding for a class that's going to be a graduation requirement in the spring, we have a waiver form that they can download. This will just document that they had a conversation with their counselor and administrator about the decision to take that class in the spring. They'll upload that file there, click send me an email receipt of my responses, and submit that form. Students will need to be logged into their DeKalb County student account to access the Microsoft Forms. Again, we are requesting that they get a receipt of their responses when submitting their form. That'll be a little checkbox at the end of the Microsoft form. Just a screenshot of the participation agreement. Down here, it may ask for a counselor signature, and it will also say to upload this into Infinite Campus. These are instructions for me. Students and parents can disregard that. There is not going to be an area in Student or Parent Infinite Campus for you to upload a copy of this. We do not want students to wait until the deadline to complete dual enrollment paperwork. The deadline, again, for spring 2027 is October 15th, but we would prefer that students complete this paperwork earlier to make sure that everything is complete and that I can contact and resolve any issues with funding applications before too late. This is the counselor view of the Georgia Futures funding application. When I am asking for what class a student is taking, this is what I'm looking for, this alphanumeric code here. So for English, it's going to be ENGL and then this 4-digit number here, 1102. This is what I'm going to be able to enter into Georgia Futures most easily to get the correct funding for students. Sometimes students will provide the course reference number from the college. That is not something that I am able to look up in Georgia Futures. So that doesn't help me with getting funding for students. The PSI course number is going to be most helpful in making sure that accurate funding is applied to student accounts. When students go in to apply for funding in Georgia Futures, this is what the website is going to look like. They will click the Apply Now button in their Georgia Student Finance account, their Georgia Futures account, in order to access that application. In the student's application, it will ask them to provide an email address for their parents so their parents can sign off. So your parents will have to provide permission through the Georgia Futures Parent Agreement as well. This goes to the state, so the parent will enter the application ID and date of birth or student social security number and date of birth. Again, classes must be in the Georgia Futures course directory to be eligible for dual enrollment funding. There are at Georgia State, again, over 800 classes that are approved for dual enrollment funding, but there are plenty of classes at Georgia State and at other colleges that are ineligible for dual enrollment funding. So please make sure that you are paying attention to the Georgia Futures course directory. There was a change in social studies curriculum a couple of years ago now. It used to be that students could take a number of different economics classes to satisfy the senior social studies requirement. However, with the state law being passed that students have to have a personal finance component their senior year of high school, Econ 1101 is now the only dual enrollment econ class that meets state graduation requirements. So students are still able to take college macro, college micro, college global econ as electives, but to meet graduation requirements, they will either have to take economics here at Dunwoody High School or take Econ 1101. Um, there was also recently some changes to the English curriculum at the state level. So now English dual enrollment courses can be taken to satisfy the third and fourth English requirements, but they must be classes that are considered core classes by the Georgia DOE. Elective classes will not meet graduation requirements. Um, Many of our students now are choosing to take Lit Comp 1, Lit Comp 2 here at Dunwoody High School, then take Econ or English 1101 as a junior, and then English 1102 as a senior to meet graduation requirements. This is the second form that I will need students to complete for dual enrollment. This is the schedule upload. Once students have registered for their classes, they can either take a screenshot or download a PDF of their schedule. This will help confirm that a student is actually registered for classes and so that I can assist with any necessary schedule changes. So the form again be accessed through the Dunwoody High School Counseling website. If a student needs a schedule change request form for dual enrollment, they'll be able to complete this form and then upload it through the Microsoft form. So they'll upload a copy of their college schedule, either a screenshot or a PDF. If you need a schedule change, as part of your dual enrollment, you will let me know when your class is, what class at Dunwoody you need to drop to add the travel time. Again, request a receipt of your responses so you have that documentation that you filled out the form and submit. I am asking for students to go ahead and register for classes and then upload a copy of their schedule before the Thanksgiving break. This just makes sure that students are able to find classes that they have requested funding for, and they don't have any issues with their schedule when we start in January. So most of our students that do dual enrollment do what used to be called dual enrollment option one, where they are taking classes that go towards a traditional four-year high school diploma, a traditional four-year college diploma. But there is another option called the Accelerated Career Diploma. This is for students that are interested in a degree from a technical college or university and are not interested in the typical four-year high school, four-year college pathway. This is for students that would like to earn either two technical certificates, a technical diploma, or an associate's degree through a two-year tech school. These students only have to have 9 high school credits instead of 24. The rest of their graduation requirements are taken through the technical college in getting that certification for the workforce. If any students are interested in the Accelerated Career Diploma, we'd like them to come in and speak with me and their counselor because it is a very different path, but it is a great choice for students that are interested in going ahead and getting the certification to join the workforce as soon as they've graduated from high school. If you have any questions after this presentation, it will be recorded and put on the Dunwoody High School Counseling website. You can also visit Georgia Futures for more information as well as the college websites. You can visit our counseling website. We have a lot of information about dual enrollment on the counseling website. You can also email me at luke_ingram@dekalbschoolsga.org. And you can also schedule a meeting with me to discuss dual enrollment. If you send me an email, I can send you a calendar link to look at my availability and schedule a meeting. We want to make sure that students are taking advantage of all of the opportunities that are presented to them. We do want students to encourage students to schedule their dual enrollment courses thoughtfully. It should be classes that students are interested in, not classes they're just taking because their friends are taking. We want students to make sure that their selections will advance them towards their goals um, instead of hindering them. So this is a great opportunity, but we want students to be really thoughtful when they are signing up for dual enrollment classes. And that brings us to the end of the presentation. If there are any questions right now, you can drop them in the Q&A, and I will try to answer some of those. Okay, we have someone asking about the classes that are available with Georgia Tech. Um, for a while, Georgia Tech was only offering their distance math and then distance computer science pathways. Um, they have recently opened up to providing slightly more options. Those will be available to see in the course directory. I'm going to try to pull those up. So Georgia Tech now has about 332 classes that are eligible for dual enrollment. But as you can see, some of those have prerequisite classes and some of them do not. Someone asked if their student is currently in dual enrollment, do they need to apply again for spring? So students that are currently in dual enrollment will not have to reapply to their college. They will not have to submit another Georgia Futures funding request, but they do need to fill out the Microsoft form and provide the declaration of intent so I know what classes to approve for funding. Had someone ask, how do we get the funding application approved from the school? So when students submit their Microsoft form with the declaration of intent, that provides me with the list of college classes that they want funding for, and I'll use that to go into their funding application and approve the classes for funding. Someone asked about the deadline for the paperwork for summer 2027. That will be March 15th, but we'll have an informational session in January with any relevant updates for summer and fall 2027. Okay. Um, Good catch. Someone asked for accelerated career diploma. Has American Lit been removed and Lit Comp 2 added since it has the EOC? Yes, it should be the end of course classes that are required for the accelerated career diploma. So Yes, we probably need to update that slide with the new literature requirements. Someone asked, do dual enrollment classes have to be taken outside of the Dunwoody High School school day? Otherwise, how will that work? They do not have to be taken outside of the Dunwoody High School school day, but the Dunwoody Bell schedule does need to be taken into account, and students should not schedule their classes for times that overlap with classes taken here at Dunwoody High School. Okay, someone asked if we applied for dual enrollment this semester, got funding approved for the classes, do we only have to register and get our holds removed, or do we need to do the whole process over again? You will not have to complete the funding application again. You will not need to apply to the college again, but you will need to fill out the Microsoft forms again to receive funding for the spring semester. Students do not need to meet with their counselor to get the signature on the form. We'll take care of that after it's been submitted. What year does this start for honors kids? So students are eligible to take the traditional dual enrollment classes beginning with the summer after their 10th grade year. For dual enrollment purposes, students are considered 11th graders in the summer after their sophomore year of high school. The deadline to apply for fall 2027 will be March 15th. So someone's asking about when to start the process for 10th graders. So if your child is currently a 10th grader, they will be able to start taking classes in the summer. So they will submit in time for that March 15th deadline. The March 15th deadline will be for the summer and fall of 2027. If our dual enrollment application was approved, but did not enroll in fall classes, do we need to start everything over for spring dual enrollment? So you will not have to do the Georgia Futures application again if you completed that for the fall. Um, I would recommend reaching out to your college. You may have to do a reactivation application for the college, and you will need to do the Microsoft forms again for the new semester. Someone asked about taking a math course in the spring. Does that still count towards graduation credits? That will depend on the math classes that you have taken. Some students have already taken all 4 classes that they need for graduation and are interested in taking additional math classes. Other students may have only completed algebra, geometry, and advanced algebra and be taking their 4th math class. So it'll depend on what classes you have already earned credit for in high school. Someone asked what email address should students use? Does it need to be their DeKalb County email? No, it just needs to be one that students check regularly. For some students, that is their DeKalb County email address. For others, it is an iCloud, a Gmail, or other personal email address. The reason that I ask for that is in case there are any issues with the funding application. If there are any issues, I want to get in touch with the student quickly. Someone asked, so the dual course doesn't apply for the fourth credit. I'm not sure what that is in reference to. If anyone is a senior that's on here that has a specific concern about their credits towards graduation, um, I would encourage them to speak with their counselor. We will be starting senior individual advisement on September 8th. So we will be going over graduation requirements and progress towards graduation individually with every senior at that time. So we will be able to kind of talk through some of those individual scenarios before the deadline for dual enrollment and make sure that everybody has that information straightened out. I'm going to give it another minute or two to see if any other questions are asked. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for attending, and I look forward to assisting y'all through the dual enrollment process for spring 2027. Have a good evening.